everyone. Thank you for coming to our PTECH information session. We're going to go ahead and get started just in interest of time. At this time, I would like to introduce Dr. Shepard. He is the VISD superintendent.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you. And I'm going to take this off to make sure that you can hear me. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. I always, for those of you who've heard me speak before, you know I start and end in the same place, which is profound gratitude to you for giving what I consider to be one of our most precious resources, your time, and especially as it relates to the education of our students. Let me tell you a little bit about myself, not as a superintendent, but as a father. I have two daughters. They're 18 and 16 years old, and I'm going to share with you what goes through the mind of a superintendent when he thinks about his own kids, his own two kids. What I wanted more than anything else for my daughters when they were young is for them to find their genius. That was it. I wanted them to know how they learned best, how their mind worked, and for them to find their genius. And if they could do that, I was certain that they would find success. I was certain that they would find success. And it worked for them, and I think it works for all kids, because I think that's what every parent wants. They want for their kids to be able to find their genius, chase that genius, and pursue that genius. And how that is manifested for us in VISD is in our strategic plan. You can actually find the phrase in our strategic plan that we're encouraging our kids and our staff to find their genius. The other place that it manifests in our strategic plan is that we want every student who walks across the graduation stage to not just have a diploma. That's not enough in today's world. We know that that is not a guarantee of success. The students have to have a diploma, and we're committed to the and. So that when every student walks across the stage, they either have a diploma and a military recruitment letter, or they have a diploma and industry certification so that they can go to work, or a diploma and an associate's degree, or acceptance to a university. Because Friday night is really awesome when we're at graduation, but I'm focused on Monday morning. And I want for every kid to have a really great launch to a really successful future. And so that's why we're committed to 100% of our students finding their and when they graduate from high school. The fact that you're here tonight, you are going to have a rocket ship sort of start to this process. And I don't want to steal the thunder that's about to come. So I'm going to hand it back to Martin to tell you more. But again, thank you for being here tonight. Thank you.
Well, again, thank you for being here tonight. How many of you want free college? Why? Tan colored, yes. Why? It's expensive. Who else? Who else wants free college? Black jacket. So you want your bachelor's or higher? Okay. Anyone else? Who wants free college? Yes, sir. Have higher paying jobs and basically pay for your education. Parents, why do you want your child to have a free college education? Yes.
No cost to us.
No what? I'm sorry?
No cost to us.
Exactly. No cost to you. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
They can come out debt-free.
Debt-free. Very important. Yes, ma'am. Having a step ahead. And that, I think that's one of the major advantages of being in PTECH, is that you get a head start on your education. So my name is Martin Sanchez. I am the PTECH administrator for Victoria ISD. I oversee the current healthcare program at East. With me today, I have some teachers that are part of our PTECH program. We have Mrs. Hickner, who teaches Algebra 1. We have Ms. Subieta, who teaches our Spanish 1 and 2. And then we have Mrs. Medlin, who teaches our World Geography course for our incoming freshmen. And in the very back, we have Mr. Joseph Castillo, who is our Innovation Programs Counselor. And his name is going to come up several times during the presentation. Mr. Castillo, can you? He's at the very back. So let me tell you a little bit about PTECH. So PTECH basically has a start on the East Coast. It is a partnership between IBM, the New York City Department of Education, and also the New York City University. And so what they did is IBM offered to start up this partnership with them, and the partnership was basically had two goals. One of them was to create a workforce where there was a gap, a skills gap. And the second one was to provide students who are underrepresented in that industry an opportunity to start their college at high school and then continue on with their education. So those are the main two goals of a PTECH. So what is PTECH? PTECH stands for Pathways in Technology Early College High School. So what we're doing is basically we're taking a student's coursework, high school graduation requirements, taking some CTE courses, career and technical education courses, and then embedding the dual credit courses and that meet the high school graduation requirements as well. Currently, we have a PTECH in healthcare, and that program is housed at East. For the next academic year, we're going to be starting up 2 additional PTECHs, one in education and training, and the other one in computer science, and those will be housed at West. So this is our outcomes measures, and I want to point this out to you, or at least highlight it. I want you to focus on this first column. The second 2 columns, that's the part that the school district that we worry about. So if you remember, one of the goals of PTECH is to serve those underrepresented populations. We're going to talk about the weighted lottery, which is the selection process for PTECH, and I'll explain it, and I'll refer to this slide back in a few minutes. So PTECH is open to all incoming freshmen. There have been a couple of presentations already in October and November to your students, via the speech and health courses at their campus. So it's open to everyone. There are no admission requirements. There's not a GPA requirement, a discipline, nothing along those lines. Basically, the student has to have an interest, and we'll talk about that towards the end of the presentation. Only 25 students will be admitted into the program per cohort. Okay, so we'll take 25 for education and training, 25 in computer science, and 25 for the healthcare. And we talked a little bit about the selection process through the weighted lottery, and we'll get into more detail here in a little bit. So we are willing to provide your student support, but we're also going to ask a commitment from you. Okay? We'll be providing services for your student. We'll be paying for their college tuition, but we also want your support. Okay? As a parent, we want to know that you're committed to your child and your child's education. Students, we also want to know that you are committed and you're committed to your education. Okay? So it's very important. Once students have been identified to be part of the PTECH, then we will call those parents in, students and parents. There will be an information session, and there will be some forms that you will have to fill out where you're agreeing to be part of the program, okay? So that is one of the requirements. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the healthcare program is only housed at East, and the computer science and the education and training is housed at West. So if you're a student that's in a feeder school that goes to West, but you want to be in healthcare, you can transfer, okay? And vice versa. So if you're a student that's on a feeder pattern to East, but want to be at computer science or education and training, you can transfer, okay? All of your courses are going to be at that campus. You're not going to, if you go to East, you're going to be an East student, okay? Or West student, whichever case it is. If you are a transfer student, we will provide the transportation. The way it's working right now is basically you would get a bus, you would get on a bus near your home, be bused to your home campus, and then bused over to wherever it is that you're supposed to be going, okay? So the transportation is there, so we definitely don't want that to be an obstacle for your student. So we're going to talk about the pathway, the program of study that the students are going to follow, so you'll have an idea of what that's going to look like. We'll go in a little bit more detail. Students are also going to participate in a bridge program. That is a program that's approximately about 1 week long, and one of the reasons why we have it is so that students can start being acclimated to PTECH, okay? There's also some culture building that's part of that program. We talk about the advanced courses, so that's something that we do require students to participate in. All students are going to be part of AVID. AVID is Advancement via individual determination. And research shows that students that are part of VALID are more likely to graduate from high school and be successful after they graduate. Either continue with their education, go on directly to the workforce. And PTECH students will meet regularly with myself and also with Mr. Castillo to make sure that they are on track. We will monitor grades, make sure that they're going to tutoring if they need to, so they will be monitored pretty closely. And again, one of the advantages, the tuition for the dual credit courses, on-ramps, that is picked up by the school district. Second greatest thing that is part of PTECH is that we will expose your students to work-based learning opportunities. So what exactly is work-based learning opportunities? It has so many different ways that we can provide that service to you. Right now, because of COVID, there are a lot of restrictions, but basically, work-based learning opportunities can be anything from a classroom visit from someone, from a professional in that industry, a tour of the facilities for that particular area, and eventually maybe in their junior or senior year, it would be an internship or an apprenticeship that your student could participate in. And then, of course, the students are earning high school credits, or dual credit, high school and college credits at the same time while they're in that program of study. PTECH is a school within a school design model. And so PTECH in itself is a school that is housed in another school. So that's basically what that means, that it is a school within a school. Your students are going to be in a cohort. So if they're in the education and training PTECH, they're going to travel from their English to their math to their science. We're going to try and keep them together as much as possible. Now, there will be cases where that won't be the case, just because we look at their schedule is going to be driven by what credits they come in to high school, and also if they're participating in any extracurricular activities. But they will be with that cohort as much as possible. The other important piece is that they are going to have the same teachers. We have some of the PTECH teachers here, and they all have our students, okay? Now, there are exceptions where maybe a student is taking a PE class. They might be taking that with a coach, someone that is not part of the PTECH program. For the most part, our English, well, not for the most part, our English, math, science, social studies, and Spanish, and AVID, all of our students have those same teachers, okay? So it's kind of important to build that relationship with the students, not only within their cohort, but also with the teachers. I mentioned how students are going to be part of AVID, how the program is going to be or their personal graduation plan is going to be tailored to their needs, depending, again, taking into consideration how many credits they have and what their goal is after they graduate from high school. They're going to meet with Mr. Castillo at least once a semester to make sure they're on track, and especially during registration when that comes around. But they are also going to have access to a campus counselor. So any student, every high school student is assigned to a counselor on campus. So your student will also have a campus counselor that they can go to if Mr. Castillo or myself are not available. And then we provide support services for the students. Because we have a wide variety of students that are part of PTECH from various levels, we provide different support services so they can be successful. We currently, for example, offer what we call Pacer Thursdays to our students, and they have an opportunity to come in and receive tutoring from our PTECH teachers. We have a teacher that is also tutoring for us on Wednesdays, and then Mr. Sixtos, who is our English teacher, offers tutoring one Saturday out of the month for our students. So the support services are there. At East, we also have Titan Time that is available to any student for them to participate in. And then, of course, the teachers offer their own tutoring aside of that. Okay, so there are a lot of support services that we can provide for the students to help them be successful. But what we ask of you is to make sure that you support them in going to those tutoring sessions and the students actively participating in them so they can be successful. And then we did talk about what the transfer process would look if your student needs to go from East to West. Let's see. Now you are going to hear from some of our students.
Hi, my name is Zoe Bailey, and the reason I joined PTECH was because I wanted to help a lot of people. Because when I was little, my grandparents, they would get sick a lot, and the reason that they would get sick a lot, and I was always there to help them, and I wanted to grow up, and I wanted to help other people like them. That way, because there's doctors nowadays that only earn it for the money, and I don't want to be those doctors. I want to help kids that don't get the amount of help that they're supposed to get, and help the elderly. The way PTECH's going to help me benefit in my life is that it's going to help me progress as I keep going on and graduate from high school.
Hi, my name is Robert, and the reason why I joined PTECH is because I heard good things. The reason why I think it would be beneficial is for you to associate with.
My name is Rico. I'm in the PTECH healthcare. I wanted it to benefit me after I got out of high school. So I come out with 2 years of college classes and some college hours, which will help me get a job a little faster than going to college for maybe 7 years. So being a school athlete, PTECH helps me keep up with work, with the after school tutoring with each teacher to help me keep up with my grades, keep me on track so I can stay on top and keep being an athlete as I go on throughout the years. PTECH is very intense, but with all the help from each teacher and still dealing with athletics and being an athlete, it's not impossible at all. Pretty easy to keep up with it if you have the right help and the right tools to get yourself there.
My name is Jasmine, and the reason I joined PTECH was to be a better leader, and it's helping me be more confident in school.
Hi, my name is Gabriel, and the reason why I joined PTECH is something heart surgery, and PTECH really helped me with how to get into college and how to get more points into college. And the thing that's really helping me with PTECH is tutoring and really talking to my teachers too.
My name is Jose Hernandez, and I joined PTECH because I was interested in the healthcare medical field. And as of right now, I'm interested in becoming a medical assistant or something around the lines to better pursue my career since I have parents who are very fortunate who never graduated, don't have an education. And I want to be someone who is first in my family to succeed and be in a really nice industry.
Hi, I'm Madison Rogers, and the reason why I joined PTECH was because I was very interested in the healthcare field, and I think this is a great program to get you started off on your career and what you want to plan to do in the future. And I think it will really benefit you, and it gets you ready for the real world, and it's going to prepare you for all the medical and real world situations.
This year I'm currently a student athlete, and PTECH offers many available tutoring times for you to balance out whatever curricular activities you plan to do after school. Like I play basketball, for example. I also have to balance out my schoolwork in order to play basketball. PTECH helps me with tutoring times for me to get extra help. I still want you guys to have a great high school experience, and I think this program is going to be really great for you, and you're still possibly going to have the opportunity to play sports like me.
Hello, my name is Orion Adams. The reason why I joined PTECH is to help my mother in the RN program. The hospitals are quite understaffed, so I would like to help. I learned how to wash my hands properly, wear PPE, what's legal within the systems of the healthcare. And for right now, that's pretty much it. As school goes on, I will learn more, and hopefully you will too when you join this program.
Hi, my name is Fernando Serra. The reason I joined PTECH was because at first I just heard of it, and I thought it was just going to be a regular program to teach me how to be a better person. And then when I actually joined the program, it actually taught me a lot. It taught me how to be more organized. It taught me a lot of medical stuff in my class classes. All my classes are advanced classes, pre-AP, so I learn more and I'm more organized and I concentrate more in my studies, more than I used to. Hola, mi nombre es Fernando Sierra. La razón que me metí en PTECH fue porque yo pensé que nada más era un programa, así para que te enseñe a ser un mejor estudiante y así. Cuando me metí al programa, sí estaba con ganas el programa. Me enseñaron a ser un mejor estudiante, ser más organizado. Me dieron todas mis clases avanzadas para que avanzara. Fue difícil, pero sí la hallé y ya pasando mis clases y todo está bien.
So as you can see, we have a variety of students that are part of our PTECH program. And they're all coming to us from different levels, and each of their experiences is different, and each one is taking something different from the program itself, from our teachers and their experience. So just a general overview of PTECH in general. Again, I mentioned the summer bridge. Your students, if they're accepted into one of the PTECH programs, will also be taking career and technical education courses, or CTE courses. And in those courses is where the students have an opportunity of earning an industry-based certification, or an IBC. Okay, that's a credential that they can actually go and apply for a position at a place of employment. We talked about the pre-AP courses and the on-ramps and the importance of that. Students are enrolled in those classes because we want them to work at that rigor so that they are ready for those college courses when it comes time for them to take it, okay? And as you listen to some of the students, they talk about how it is a struggle, but it's a lot of work, but in the long run, it's worth it. And also, I want to point out, if your student applies or checks off on their course selection sheet that they want to be part of the PTECH program, and they are not admitted, they can still take the same courses that a non-PTECH student can take. Okay, they can still take the advanced math, the science, the social studies. They can take those CTE courses, the principles of health science education or computer science. They just won't be part of the cohort, okay? They won't have that same group of teachers that are part of the PTECH or that work collaboratively together in all those different content areas. But they can still take those classes, okay? You can get a copy of the program of study and just follow it along as well, okay? You just won't have all of those. For one, you won't have the free tuition, and then of course, not all of the additional support services that we provide for the PTECH students. But I just want to make sure to point that out so that if your student is not selected, it doesn't mean that they can't take those similar courses, okay? This is what the health science pathway looks like. So these are your general academic courses, and in here, this is not free time. The reason why I broke this out is just so that you can kind of see what the graduation requirements are, and that our high school courses, these are the CTE courses that are part of the healthcare sequence. And then these are the dual credit courses. So these courses would go into those spots. This is the program, the pathway for education and training. The courses in black, these are the high school courses. One thing I do want to point out is that this program of study is, the way it's set up for fall and spring. That's why you see many more columns than you did in the previous one. The courses in blue are dual credit courses, and then of course your education courses that they would take. And then for computer science, pretty much the same layout, fall, spring. In black are the high school courses, and then in blue, your dual credit courses. Okay? So this is just to give you an idea of the courses that the student would be taking. And in the front, when you walked in, you probably picked up one of these. If you scan the QR card, it will take you to the website, and you can actually look at the programs of study in more detail. So in general, the PTECH program, it's a collaboration between the school district, the industry, and also higher education. We're targeting jobs that are in demand in the region. We're going to teach our students skills that are essential for that specific field. They'll have an opportunity to earn industry-based certifications. And then the courses that they're going to be taking are aligned to where they're not duplicated, where they're taking one class at the high school level and then maybe repeating it as a dual credit course. And then, of course, the work-based learning opportunities where the students can gain that experience to be successful in the workplace. And then multiple entrance and exit points for them as far as like they're taking the dual credit courses and earning industry-based certifications, and definitely after they graduate from high school going on to their post-secondary studies or directly into the workforce. I want you to hear from some of our teachers and their experiences with PTECH.
My name is Jonathan Sixtos, and I teach PTECH Healthcare English 1 and English 2. So I'm excited. I've been teaching English 1 for 8 years. This is my first year doing PTECH though, so it brings some unique opportunities. My favorite thing about teaching the PTECH program is getting to see the development of students. As an English 1 teacher, normally I teach kids 1 year, and then I see them in the hallway. But next year, I'm looking forward to continuing on with my PTECH students, furthering that relationship, seeing their growth and development, and supporting them that extra year as a sophomore English teacher, and also being involved with them throughout the 4 years to reach their goals. One of the things that I love hearing from the students is their own excitement about the future. We're working with a representation of our entire district, not just your typical pre-AP student, not just your typical on-level student, and that mixture, I feel, is a catalyst for the success of the program. Students seeing their peers in the PTECH cohort, encouraging each other, supporting each other all the way through in tutorials, Pacer Thursdays, Wednesday tutorials, Saturday schools, anything that they need to be successful, and building that culture. And seeing the students take ownership of that culture is so rewarding as a teacher.
I think what I love most about PTECH is the chance to meet kids where they're interested, that I can tailor my curriculum to something that actually matters to them and show how geography actually is used in a real-world situation instead of just being another high school class that we don't really see like that. I tell my students is it's like winning the lottery, that you have this incredible opportunity, but you have to hike 30 miles to get the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. So it's not going to be easy. Nobody's going to give it to you, and it's tough, but it's really worth it at the end. So for students that are debating on whether or not to join PTECH because it is more rigorous than your traditional on-level classes, think of it like fun. That the more you put into it at the more options you have at the beginning, where you are choosing whatever you want, whatever feels good, whatever your friends are doing, you're doing extracurricular, you're doing just fun things at home. I'd rather spend my time on video games than doing all this work. But then at the end of your high school career, your choices are very narrow because you had so many options and you didn't really focus on anything. So then your choices are narrow. But if you do the PTECH program, and yes, there are certain classes that you have to take, and that means that there may be other classes that you want that you don't get to take. It's a narrower opening, focus. But then the opportunities at the end are much more broad. You're going to have more choices for colleges, for careers, etc. And so if you think about it as, yes, it's going to be hard. I'm going to have to put all of this stuff into the narrow end of the funnel at the beginning, and that's tough. But you're opening up your future at the end.
To students who are thinking about joining the PTECH program, I want to encourage you, I'm not going to say warn you, I want to encourage you that nothing worthwhile comes without productive struggle. So there may be times over the next year, 2 years, 4 years, where you feel like this is a difficult task, but you always need to keep in mind the reward at the end of the road. Every little victory, every essay, every quiz grade, you may feel like you're fighting an uphill battle at times, but remember, we are here supporting you for your future. And as a freshman, it may seem so far away, but it'll be here before you know it.
So who wants to win the So let's go back to how we started at the beginning. Remember, keep in mind, your student has to select on their course selection sheet that they are wanting to be part of a PTECH. That's going to be the first step. And then, of course, if they meet any of those other criteria that were on that first column, that gives them additional entryway. So that's how they could be selected for PTECH. Here, I want you to let's hear from one of, oh, this is not it, I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. So in a couple of weeks, your student's going to receive the course selection sheet. This is what it's going to look like. It's going to have their English, their math, their science, their social studies. They'll be checking those off. But on the back, when you look here at the bottom, this is where they get to select what PTECH they want to be part of, okay? So what they'll do is the counselors will go in, get them to fill out their paperwork. They'll take this home to you, return it to the campus. The counselors pick it up, send it to the high school counselors, and then eventually we'll get a copy of it for every student that selected that. And then we'll start taking those names, looking at demographics, and then we'll conduct the lottery system, okay? But this is how your student is going to indicate that they want to be part of a PTECH, whichever one of the three. Okay, so make sure that at some point within the next few weeks, that paper makes it home to you and back to the campus. And this is one of our parents.
Parents and future PTECH students, our experience with joining the PTECH program has been quite the adventure. It all started one day when I picked up my daughter from school, and just in how was your day combo, she mentioned that a counselor came by and was telling them about a new program that was going to be rolled out in the 9th grade. She said it was called PTECH and that it was going to focus on the medical field. At the time, she had been watching Grey's Anatomy, so she was really into going into that profession. She often spoke of becoming a brain surgeon. Then she changed it to a heart surgeon. Then once again to a vet. I said, well, okay, if you really want to consider it, I will support you. She said, well, don't worry, Mom. I'm not going to get picked. It's based on a lotto system, and I never win anything, so it won't happen. I said to her, well, no, you need not think like that. Think positive, and positive things happen. We then proceeded to attend the PTECH presentation at the community center to gather more information about the program, where she then signed up afterwards, and we just hope for the best. We also attended a function over at East High School so that she knew for sure that's what she wanted to do. I wanted it so bad for her because I knew that she was well deserving of such an amazing opportunity. I just hoped and prayed that she would get selected. I never had the honor to be a part of something so great when I was in high school, so I really understood the importance of the program. And knowing that in 4 years, my daughter would not only be graduating with her high school diploma, but also with medical credentials under her belt. Well, then COVID-19 happened, and we didn't hear back for quite some time. And she said, well, Mom, I told you I wasn't going to get picked for PTECH. And I said, it's okay, honey. We'll figure out how we're going to get you into college when we get to that point, just like we always figure everything out. And then one random day, I hear her running downstairs yelling, Mom, I got picked. I said, for what? She said, I got an email from PTECH and I got in. I froze. And I just stood there because I could not believe it. I even shed some tears of joy, and I even still do to this day. It meant a lot. I knew it was meant for her. What I will say is that it's not easy for her. I see her having to work hard every day and struggle from time to time. But I also see her overcoming those obstacles and learning new things every day. So joining a PTECH program does not only include my child, or will it only include your child? It's going to include you being a supportive parent, just how I am, and showing empathy, letting them know that you're there, even though you don't say it all the time, just providing that sense of security, and letting them know that you believe in them. If you feel that you and your child are the right candidates, then I wish you all the luck in your journey, and know that it can happen if you both want it.
This is one of our, the mother of one of our students, and she actually reached out to Dr. Shepard, apparently several times, telling him how great or how wonderful she thinks the program is and how it's helping her daughter progress. So a few weeks ago, I was just doing some research on education, and I came across a TED Talk. And I came across Mrs. Rita Pearson, and she is a second-generation educator. Her mom and dad were educators. She's been a principal, and her story resonated with me because she talks about relationships. She talks about students building relationships, instructors building relationships with their students. And if that relationship is not there, then there is no learning that happens. That is one of the benefits of PTECH, is that those students are together. They go from class to class. They build that camaraderie. There's that culture. But it's not only among themselves, it's also with their teachers. This, what's on the screen is actually what a saying that she would tell her students whenever they came into her classroom. I am somebody. I was somebody when I came, and I will be a better somebody when I leave. I am powerful. I am strong. I deserve the education that I get here. And I think that is a powerful statement, and I think it's what basically PTECH stands for and represents. And it's what Dr. Shepard speaks of, helping those students find that and I think for our students, PTECH is the solution. At this time, we'll open up the floor for questions, if you have any. And if you do, if you'll raise your hand, and Mrs. Hickner will come around. If you have a question, if you will just tell it to her, and then she'll repeat it on the mic.
Before I do that, just what you just shared, I wanted to share something that happened today. I teach Algebra 1, and they were working in groups. Sometimes when I put my kids in groups or pair off to work together, some don't do anything, they don't say anything, they let somebody carry them, they're not that interested. These kids have developed such a relationship with each other, they just dove right in. And I heard so much support from each other, so much sharing, that as a teacher, that's what we want. And I can just attest that being in this cohort has been wonderful for these kids. They feel connected to other kids. So, anybody have a question?
Okay, this is going to be challenging.
Yes.
How will course selection work? Because I know that they gave us a piece of paper and you had choices that you could make. So would you just check off PTECH and return it, or would you choose your courses, check PTECH, and then you would meet with the counselors and you would change it?
Okay, he's asking how your course selection would go. I assume it's because you may not know if you get in the lottery or not. So would they pick their courses, check that they would like to be part of PTECH? What else did I forget that you had? That was it?
Yes, so on your course selection sheet, you'll check your English, math, science, whatever classes it is that you're wanting to take. And then on the back, you will just select PTECH as the program that you want to be a part of. Once we have all of those course selection sheets, and we've gone through the lottery system, and if you are selected as one of the students, then we'll sit down and we'll work out the schedule with you for PTECH. But as I mentioned earlier, you can still take those classes and not be part of the cohort. So if you're interested, which PTECH are you interested in? Computer science. So then you can still take those pre-AP courses and then the CTE or courses in computer science courses as well. Okay? Any other questions?
Yes, sir. By the time they graduate, how many college course hours would they have?
There are various factors that come into play. A lot of it is going to depend on how many credits the student comes into high school with. For example, we have students that have Algebra 1, their health and their speech. So we take that into consideration. Technically, I mean, they could have as much as up to 60 credits, which is basically an associate's degree. But it all depends on their credits and how they progress through high school.
Does he have to take the AVID class?
Yes, AVID is part of the student's schedule, and it is one of the built-in supports for the program.
And one of the good things about the AVID class is 2 days a week, it's a tutoring day.
Yes.
And that's very helpful. Yes, sir. Any additional elective classes in the schedule?
Yes. Again, it goes back to the number of credits that the student comes into high school with. We have students that are playing athletics, they're in sports, and that's their choice, that's their elective. It's kind of hard to tell with the way it's set up on the screen, but their schedule is pretty tight because they are having to take their 4 core, the AVID, and then the CTE course, and that leaves room for basically just one more class. If they're coming in with the Spanish already complete, then that would probably free up one more class. And then of course they would still have to have, like, if they're not doing athletics, then they still have to take 1 full year of PE. So that plays a huge part into what other courses they could take.
Also, I teach pre-AP Algebra 2 as well, and several PTECH students are in that class because they got their Algebra 1 credit in middle school. So that's kind of what Mr. Sanchez was talking about. Can they take summer school to get ahead?
Yes.
Sorry, I'll take a take back. Yes, ma'am.
Just to clarify, now she's at Cade, and if she is interested in the healthcare, does she need to transfer to East Side, or she can still in the West High School and be in PTECH in the healthcare?
If she's accepted into PTECH, the healthcare PTECH, she will have to be, and if she chooses to be part of it, she will have to go to East. That's where all of the classes will be held. If you choose not to transfer, then you can still take those same courses at West, but not be part of PTECH.
And to follow up with that, sir, so if she chooses not to be in PTECH but follow that, so she will also graduate, just not have those benefits as PTECH.
Correct, yes.
Yes, if she took dual credit, that would be at your expense, and you wouldn't have all the supports that the PTECH students have. Somebody else over here had a question. Yes.
So if they go into high school with, she'll have an algebra, speech, health, and both Spanishes. So will she be able to advance earlier and take those more advanced classes as a freshman?
Okay, so
Stay
she's.
ahead of the game and possibly end up with more than associate?
We would have, yes, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to repeat for those that.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So she's going to be going in with several credits for health, Spanish, I think you said algebra, and would she be able to go on and kind of get a little bit ahead since she's going in ahead?
Now keep in mind that there are some graduation requirements for additional, like the physical education, the fine arts. So we would, once she is selected or accepted into the PTECH, we would look and see what additional requirements she needs and try and get those out of the way. But the way the program is designed, students could actually start taking dual credit courses as early as the fall of their sophomore year, at least for the healthcare one.
Because I spoke to somebody about the dual credit classes. She's actually eligible to start college this summer.
Mm-hmm.
So would that hurt her doing that? Should she hold off on that until we find out if we're part of this program?
It would depend on what classes she takes and where those classes fit in. As far as like, are they gonna be courses that are part of the graduation plan? Are they counting as dual credit, or are these classes that you're taking for maybe a post-secondary goal after you graduate? What I would advise you is to just make sure that the classes that you're taking are either part of the dual credit that meet the graduation requirements for high school, or if you're just taking them because of whatever reason, I don't know. It would depend, but that's what I would look at. Their high school counselor. Yeah, their high school counselor.
And they've gone to the middle schools, they will be going to the middle
They'll be
schools.
going in the next couple of weeks. I think the second week of next month is when they'll start the registration process. But I would definitely let them know exactly what classes they plan on taking, or if you plan on taking during the summer, and see how they fit in within the graduation plan. But if you come in with dual credits, that is not going to hurt you. If they don't fit within the PTECH model, then they would probably end up being electives as long as it's a dual credit.
And Mr. Sanchez, what about the TSI completion?
Yes, so, but the high school counselor would have to, they'll talk to you about that. Before the students can take the majority of the dual credit classes, they do have to be complete in either the reading and writing, or the math, or what we call TSI complete. For example, like your government, your economics, your English, they require that you be complete in the reading and writing. For the algebra, or maybe I think it's even chemistry, you have to be complete in math, okay? So that's something else that the counselors can talk to you about, because you would have to be TSI complete or pass the math or the reading and writing, depending on what class you want to take, okay? You're welcome.
Yes, sir.
Is there somewhere that we can see more of the, I know you showed it, but I didn't get to see it very well, the weighted criteria? And the second part of that is, when you say it's a weighted lottery, does that mean that anybody that applies at least has a chance, and those that are weighted, maybe they get more entries? Is that how it works?
Yes, that's how it works. Did you want to?
Well, for every one of the criteria, at risk, for the healthcare, it was if you were a male, because it's predominantly a female field, you got one more ticket in the lottery for each of those identifiers.
The question was as far as where can you see the criteria on that card. If you scan that QR card, it will direct you to the website, and it will be on there. I'll have to probably go back and look and tell you exactly where to go to find it, but it is on the website. And then also, the second part of the question is for the weighted lottery, how many entries a student gets. If you select it, you get obviously that one. You meet any of the other criteria on that first column, that's an additional entry into the program.
And there were students that were picked with one entry.
Yes.
So it can happen. And there also, did you mention the waiting list? I didn't know if you wanted to.
Yes. So if your student, we'll take the first 25, and then after that, the students go on a waiting list. And for our first year for healthcare, we did have some students that did not, that changed their mind, especially if they were like a West student, didn't want to go to East. And so that bumped up some students up the list. Any other questions? Those are some good ones. Yes, sir.
How many entries do y'all typically see on average, or how many students do you see apply on average for these programs?
So the question is, how many entries does a student have, and how many applicants do we have? Last year, we had 144 students apply to be part of the PTECH, and the maximum number of entries that I saw, I believe it was 3 for one student.
Is that 100 and whatever you said, is that across all 3 programs though?
That was just for healthcare.
We had one cohort last year,
Yes.
just the healthcare.
Yeah, it's just for one. Any other questions?
I have a question. As you're going into a PTECH program, because that's hopefully what you're interested in doing, but it's possible, could they elect 2 PTECH programs and hope to get in one or the other? I can see that coming up.
I would say yes. If you do have an interest, yes. You could, if you have an interest in both, yes, you could select.
So we could select one at the back of the registration form. The classes that she's gonna bring in next month, I could select healthcare and maybe computer science at the same time, sir?
You could, yes.
So that if she
So
didn't
we'll
get
have
it or the
two
other.
chances?
Yes. But keep in mind that the student, depending on what program you select, the PTECH, you can select all three if you wanted to. But if their interest is healthcare and they get into education and training, they're going to be taking education and training courses. Okay? So just keep that in mind. If you select all three and you get admitted into one, you are following that PTECH, whatever classes are part of that. Okay? But yes, you can select more than one. Any other questions? Well, we're going to hang around for a little bit if you do have some. Again, thank you very much for coming. We look forward to hopefully seeing your students as part of the PTECH program next year. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.